Hey everybody, Brandon here from the Vancouver Pupps with another workshop, and today we're going to be working on something that I'm actually really excited about. It's something I wanted to design and build for quite a while. And today we're going to be making a new marionette, basically. So this is the old one. So this is the old original marionette who's pretty much ready to be retired because I've learned a lot about marionette making, and since I first started the Vancouver Pupps, which is when the first marionette was created, and now I know that I can make a much better one. So this one's going to be retired and replaced with another marionette sometime in the future. Not for a while though. I can still use this one for specific shots and whatnot, and that's what I mainly use this one for. But the new one that we're going to be making is now a new marionette that I'm going to be able to perform with live and dance with in a very special way. I'm really excited about trying this out, and it's a little more experimental because we do already have a dancing Oko that I can use to perform live, but this is going to be a different one. That his legs, I have a set here that we're going to be working on. So I have a body that we can work on, and the legs of this marionette are going to have little pockets in the back that I can use to put my feet in to move the feet a little bit, but for the most part I'm going to be moving this marionette around with a handle very, very fluidly, and then the legs will just kind of like move around. It should be a lot more fluid and a little more experimental, but it should still be I think it should still work out really, really well. And it's going to be mainly for slower ballad songs and things like that anyway, and it's just going to be sort of a different way of performing live with Oko, which is what I'm looking for. So this will be the third puppet that we'll be able to perform live with. So I'm really excited. We have the hand puppet, then we have the dancing Oko, and then we'll have this one, which I'm going to be calling the dancing marionette Oko. Yeah. So that's it. So like I said, I've already sewn up a mock-up, and the head is done similarly to the marionette that we did in the last workshop, where I added a new head so that gravity would allow the head to fall, and then there's a weight in the front on the inside of the mouth that will weigh the mouth down, and then there will be a string attached that will allow me to pull that from the handle and make the mouth open, and that's how he's going to be singing and talking in this form, just like we did. So if you want to see how that was sort of accomplished, you can just go back and watch the workshop, which should be in the playlist, the workshop playlist. Now, I will show sort of how I put this one together, because every Oko I make has different internal parts, and I'll show how this one all works more. But the first thing we're going to be accomplishing in this video is going to be making the handle. So I have sort of my blueprints of what I designed and came up with, and I will show this a little bit, although it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It kind of is just more for my own eyes, but I'll quickly show this and just show how I came up with this idea. And I have all the parts ready here, everything here that we need in order to put this all together, so it should be a really interesting build today. All right, so I'm going to put the Oko aside, but we'll look at that later. But right now what we're going to do is get all these wooden pieces out, and I'm going to show you how this special marionette handle is going to work that I've created in order to do this. All right, so let's get to it. Now, here are the pieces I have collected and have cut. Hopefully everything will go together pretty quickly, and I think I have everything that I need, hopefully. I have all the hardware as well in order to do this here. That consists of all kinds of things, little tiny like O-rings and some brackets and dowels and things. Well, we'll get to those when we get to them. But here's the plan. I don't know if this shows up much. It doesn't really matter. It's just a little sketch I did that kind of showed what I had in mind. And then I kind of started getting some pieces and drawing it out. All right, here's just a closer look at the blueprints that I made, because I realized you couldn't see anything. But it doesn't really matter, because we're going to see the whole thing put together very shortly anyway. But I just wanted to show you guys how I got to where we are. So this is what I thought of when I was thinking about what it might look like. This is the side view. This is the handle, and then this would be like a trigger. I knew I would need some kind of trigger in order to operate Oko's mouth. And then this is sort of a bird's eye view. I decided that it would be sort of like a handle that I would hold, and there would be a trigger here that I would be able to press. And here is the side view. So you'd hold it here, the handle here. And so this is the handle that I've chosen. So this is what I want to be able to hold on to and move the marionette around like this. And I want to be able to change it with my hands. I want my hands to be able to change. So that's what I chose. Originally I was going to use a round bar, like a dowel, or whatever you call them. But I don't know, I think keeping everything very like right-edged, square-edged, or whatever, is just going to be easier to assemble everything, because we have to attach things to this, so a circle could be difficult. First thing I thought of was I was worried, I didn't want, holding on to a puppet like this, there's going to be some weight, and I'm worried about it slipping out of my hand, so I wanted to have some sort of stop on the top for my hand to rest. So this is going to be for this, and this is like the block that I've chosen that's going to be the top. So the hand will sort of rest here, most likely. And then there's room for me to put my thumb back here for some sort of trigger if I want to add that. Perhaps for the eyelids is what I'm thinking, but we'll get to that. All right, so that's going to go together. Then this is the bar that I've marked out where the strings are going to go. And this is going to be attached to here like this. And this is what's going to have the O-rings to have the strings. Now I'm just going to let this, I'm just going to put the top here for now because it's going to fall off if I keep going. Now these are going to be placed here like this. And these are sort of like long bars that have a hole here for a dowel to be connected. But these are going to be attached to the hand here like this. And then this is the back. This is actually going to be going on the very bottom like this. So there we are. So that makes sense. It's kind of hard to show that, but that's basically what's going to look like with one more thing. This is another board that has a hole at one end and has a hinge, and this hinge is going to be attached to here. And that's going to be so that it can kind of like move between these and swing here. And that's actually going to be the trigger that I'm going to be squeezing. I don't know if this is all making sense, but I think things kind of have to start being put together for it to really make sense. But anyway, I hope that, well, you'll see. Yeah, this will be attached to here and we'll sort of swing. And that's what's going to have the string attached that I'll squeeze in order to make, this is going to pull the string that will open Oko's mouth. That's how I'm going to be making him talk, is by squeezing that trigger. Anyway, it's all kind of like a bit confusing, I think, yeah, at first, but it all makes sense. So I'm just going to start attaching all these pieces, I think, with wood nails and screws, and reinforce it in areas with hinges, and we'll get to the spot when we're going to start attaching, I think, O-rings and strings. All right, so I got some wood glue, and I'm just going to start by just with wood glue attaching the bottom two pieces, because they're going to have a nail through them anyway, but just so that it's easier, I'm going to just make them one piece now with glue, and we'll get back to that one later. The first, while that's drying, I'm going to, we're going to work on this piece, and I want to do the handle first, I guess. So what we're going to do is just nail straight through. There's just really no other way to do this. Just make sure. Start by touching this, and I want it to be as flat and flush as I can on the back. All right, here we go. So All right, now that's nice and secure, but I'm also going to be attaching a screw to this so that I'll be able to hang this project up when I'm not using it. So that's going to put a lot of force on this seam. Now, 3 nails is very strong. I don't think there's anything to worry about, but I did get this hinge here, which I'm going to attach here eventually, and put a screw there and a screw there so that that's a nice strong hold between the top part and the weight. But I'll get to that later. And like I said, there'll also be a hook like this that'll be screwed in to the top or wherever the best point of balance is, so that I'll be able to hang that from some sort of bar in the future. Anyway, so that's good. So that's a good. That step is done. Now what I need to do is attach these. And actually, I probably should have done that before I attached this, because now I'm thinking it's going to be difficult. But anyway, oh, that's okay. It's not a big deal. We'll figure out how this all works. So I got some smaller little nails here that I think will be more suitable for these. These don't need the strongest hold because these are going to be these are going to be just sort of like hanging or attached to the side and won't have any weight put on them. They're not holding anything up, so... Okay, so I might have to use a block to nail against this. Let's just see here. Yeah, so first I have to decide if these are the right two, or which way they go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, there we go. Now this piece is going to be attached here, and it should swing between these two, like this. So I'll attach that now. All right, there we are. There it is. That's sort of the idea. And then I have this dowel here, which I can put through here and attach these two. There it is. And now that will only go to a certain level. See? And this is going to be sort of like... The string is going to be pulling on this, which is going to pull... The weight of the puppet string is going to be pulling down on this, which is going to be making this taut. And then I'm hoping that I'll be able to squeeze this, which will pull the string around this bar, and will pull the string up this way. So that's the theory. That's what we're going to be seeing if we can do. All right, so now all I have to do is attach this to the back, like this. And I'll just do that with some nice long nails through the bottom. All right, so there we are. There's another step done. So it's coming together. That's whole idea here is that I can be able to shift between hands. That's looking pretty good. All right, so the next step is I'm going to attach all of the little O screws all over the place. There's a whole bunch here and then a couple on the back. That's what we're going to use in order to have the strings attached. So I'll just do that next. I've already pre-drilled some little holes, so it should be easy to get these in. All right, so that's about it, guys. There's my design. This is what I've come up with. That's that's the handle. We're going to see how it goes. I got the hooks here. I got two on the back, and I've got a series of symmetrical O-rings on the bottom here, which will be strings for the hands, and then the head and the body. And then there's a little hole in the bottom of this board to tie the string around. And there's the hook. Like I said, I'm going to probably reinforce this in a few spots just to make it extra strong. I just think that might be a good idea. Anyway, we'll see. It feels pretty sturdy. All right, so, and this is going to be all painted black. And then I have some other things here if I want to. I don't know, sure if I'm going to use this or not, but after I paint this black, I have some foam here that I can add to the wood handlebar to make it a little more comfortable of a grip. I also got these Velcro straps, which I thought that I could sort of attach at the sides so that I could kind of put my hand in and out of those on each side. And those can be tightened as well with just the Velcro. So I don't know if I'm going to use that though, but I thought that might be kind of useful because I want to be able to definitely be able to switch my hands between these, and I want it to have a good grip. Anyway, we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to be painting it black, and then it'll be ready for stringing. So now what I'm going to do is lay the Oko doll on the table here, and I'll show you sort of quickly how I did the different parts of his internal body. And then we'll start stringing him up. All right, so here's the complete marionette doll, the actual doll we're going to be using for the marionette. So the head is complete, and there's a stone in the front of the lip that allows it to sort of close. And the tongue is attached there, and yep, no other secrets to that. There's a little extra cutout of the bottom plate to accommodate the foam tongue. And then this one has a zipper. I always attach a zipper at the neck seam. The feet have a part cut out that's going to connect to the tip of the foot. We're going to make something. I'm going to show you that soon. But these legs are similar to the ones for the dancing Oko. Just wanted to quickly show them though. They got the typical. I did a whole video of this. Just look at in the workshop playlist on the dancing Oko, and you'll see how I made these legs. But I just made another set, and also added a tendon that just prevented it from going completely straight. I always want the leg to be a little bit bent for this puppet. And then they're attached with a little hinge here to the foot, which has a little dowel running through it. And then these are going to be attached with, some rope. These will go through the bottom of the body here, and then on the other side here, they'll go through a washer and then get tied around a ring. That's how I like to attach the limbs. That's actually how the arms are attached. You can see how I did that here. The rope goes through the puppet, then through a washer, and then gets tied to a ring that can't go through the washer. So that's how I like to do it, because you can easily undo that from the inside, or, you know. And then these are attached, the arm. I wanted to show this. This was actually a type of arm. This is actually like a little tube of fabric that has these little sections that are sewn, and then there's marbles placed inside of these. And these are actually what are in the arms for some of the early puppets. The first marionette has this in the arm, as well as the first hand puppet. And this gives a very kind of like cartoony movement to the arms. But over the years, I've sort of abandoned that look, because I actually like it when Oko looks a little bit more, I like it when his body moves a little bit more realistic, more, you know, human-like, for lack of a better word. So that idea has sort of been replaced now with these sort of bones that I make. And these are just made out of plastic-coated wire hangers that I just cut. And I did want to see how wide these are. These are, 6 inches long. So it makes a 12-inch long arm, and they're just tied. They're just little bones that I make that are 6 inches long, and then I just attach them with the cord. And that's how I also attach it to the hand. And I like using this method now because I just think that looks nicer when Oko's arm bends the way it's supposed to at the given points, at the shoulder, elbow, and the wrist. It just looks nicer. This is a little more cartoony. And I realized over the years I'm trying to make Oko more realistic, so I like the more realistic look. So that's it. So I'm going to finish putting all these parts together, but what I'm going to do now is show you guys how we're gonna do the feet and how I'm gonna move his feet with my feet and the plan I have for that. So that's next. All right. All right, so I have a spare pair of the shoes that I use when I'm performing as Oko. For the dancing Oko, I have a pair of these that are actually attached to planks that fit into the back of Oko's feet. But for this one, so here's the legs that we're going to be using for the marionette. And for this one, the plank is only going to come out like so far. And there's going to be like a little cuff here that I'll be able to slip my foot into, I'm hoping, and then just like move. Hope that's showing up. Yeah, there's going to be a little cuff here at the back of this shoe that I'll just be able to slip my foot in and out of. And I'll just be able to like move the foot a little bit from just the little cuff. But I have to make that cuff. I have to draft that pattern and put that on. So I've just attached some basalt slabs to these foam pieces that I made, and the foam piece is basically just the bottom of the foot, the sole of the bottom of the foot, and then just the front part of the foot for the shoes that I chose. So that's how those work. So now I gotta put these back in. That's sort of the next step now that these... Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now what I want to do is I'm going to create that cuff. So I'm going to do this with the tape and plastic, I think, because that's just the easier way. So okay, I only need to draft on one of the feet. So we'll do this one. This is the left foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just temporarily attach the foot. I'm just going to get some duct tape here. And put that right here. My light keeps going in and out. Okay, so that's sort of just temporarily attached with some tape. And now I'll just put plastic over it, and then I'll tape all over it, and then I'll be able to mark. Alright, so I just got plastic on that. I wish I could make this stay back. But anyway, that's alright. I'm just going to attach all the tape to all this now. Okay, I think that feels almost pretty well covered. Hang on. Put you back here. Okay. Now I'm going to take a black marker and I'm just going to mark down here. Alright, so I've just marked on the bottom with a line where, yeah, the sole is, because it shouldn't be part of any of that. And then just sort of drew a line up here. But what I really want to do is get this arch that's going to be going over. And I want to have the arch sort of be at the widest part of the foot. So right around here. Yeah, and we'll attach it to the back, so like that. This light. Alright, well, anyway, I think that is probably going to be good. I'm going to cut that piece out now. Yeah, okay, anyway, I'm going to cut this piece out now and see what it looks like, and we'll see if we have to add any darts or anything anywhere, which I'm hoping we don't have to. Stop doing that, please. I wish this light would stop that. All right, so here is the pattern piece that I'm planning on using, it looks like. So this is the piece that is going to wrap over this. So it's going to be quite snug. I'm probably going to have to make it a little bit bigger because I do need to be able to get my foot in and out of this. So let me just see here. Okay, well now I can take off this tape, this duct tape. So let me see here. So now, okay, well anyway, I'm going to go with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out of foam, and then I'm going to use some contact cement to sort of see if I can attach it here. Kind of like that. And we'll see how that looks. And I am going to make it a little bigger. I might add just an extra 1/4 of an inch on both sides to add a bit more volume. An extra 1/2 inch of volume I think is a good idea. Just to make sure that I'll be able to like get this in. I mean, yeah, I don't want it to be that tight. So that's what I'm going to do. So draft it on paper, add 1/4 of an inch on each side, and then cut it out of the foam and yeah, attach those. And we'll give it a test and see how it looks. All right, so this is how it sort of turned out. So I refined I cut a part off here. I realized that I really need it to be cut off at the widest part of the foot, because I just need the foot to be able to go in a little bit in order to just move the foot gently, do some light tapping, or just raise the foot a bit. So yeah, so I basically cut this much off. This is how much I cut off, and that's quite a bit. So it doesn't matter. I left a little of the glue behind, but that's okay because this is all going to be painted black anyway. So I'm happy with that. And when this goes on, basically when this slides in, it will sort of, yeah, cover the back of the heel like that. It'll all be black. That's sort of the plan. So I'm happy with that. So I basically cut out for the other foot, and I'm going to be putting that on then too, and I'm painting this all black. And then I think that's pretty much it, and then I think we're going to be ready to start stringing these up. That's the next step, is the stringing. So yeah, after I get this on and paint everything black, then yeah, we'll be ready for that step. So I'll meet you guys when we're at the point when we're ready to start stringing up our marionette. Very exciting. All right, so I'll finish up the feet here, and then I'll show you a little bit about the handle before we get to stringing it. But basically, these are done. These are looking pretty good. So now these are going to go into the feet. All right, so that's sort of how it looks. I did get a little orange fabric paint if I want to touch up some of the parts where the foam might show, but I don't think I'm going to worry about it too much. Let's do the other one. All right, so there we go. That was pretty good. So we'll have to see how these straps go. I'm hoping that I might have to make them a little bigger so that to make it easier for me to slip the tip of my toe into that. But we'll just have to see. But otherwise, that'll be kind of like invisible from the back and most angles. Okay, good. So that's done. So that'll be ready to be assembled into the body. So now I just wanted to quickly show because this is going to be painted black next. This is the handle. Let me just make sure I'm getting this on camera. It should be good. Yeah, so because I'm going to be painting this black, it's going to be harder to sort of see things, which is sort of the point. But I thought I would just show how this worked one last time. So here's the hook that the whole thing stands on. The bottom here has a whole bunch of these O screws that I put in order to be able to hang the strings from, including a back plank that has 2. I might add one a little further in as well. I'm not quite sure yet. And then there's this these planks. This is all for the mouth. So, and then I have a string here. Hopefully this works, showing up. But this string, which is attached to the tip of here, goes up over the dowel here and pulls on it. And so when Oko's mouth is closed, it should be down. But when I squeeze the handle, the string will come up and it will lift his mouth. Hopefully. That's the theory. That's that this entire project is banking on. So yeah, so like I said, I'm going to paint this black while I'm sort of in the black painting stage, having just finished the feet, and then we will start stringing it all together and hanging it from this. All right, so here's the piece that is all painted up and ready to go. So like I said, I have gloves. I don't know if I'm going to be using those or not, but yeah, so we're sort of at the experimental stage now. So what I have to do is string this up with the puppet and then see what feels good. It feels pretty good as it is, but like I said, I do have some foam here that I can add for padding if I need it. I also have these Velcro straps that I was thinking of using for the side, so I could slip my hand in and out. But I don't know if I'm going to use those or not. And then I also have some gloves, which I'm still debating whether I'm going to be using. But the main piece of equipment is done, and it looks really good. I'm very happy with it. So, yeah, it feels really good. So what we're going to do now is string this up with the puppet, and we should be ready to do some testing. But the stringing takes a little while, so let's do that now. I have the Oko is all here. Yeah, the Oko puppet is here. It's all ready to go. It's yeah, it's all completed. So it's that's the original Marionette. This is the new one. So let's get it strung up and see how it works. All right, so I'm just going to quickly show this. This is how I string up my marionettes. I don't want to attach the strings directly to the fur because I don't want the fur to like sort of pull. Instead, what I like to do is have the string pulling from the inside of the puppet. Yeah, so what I do is I usually use metal washers, though the last time I did, but I'm trying to make things lighter. So I thought I would try these little wooden discs that weigh next to nothing. They're pretty strong, and I drilled a hole through them. So what I use this as a washer. So I put I use fishing line, pull that through, and then attach it to a ring, an O-ring, I guess. That's what I am using. So attach this really well. There, and that's it. So that's what I do, and then this goes. I get enough string, and I make sure that this goes inside the puppet up against the foam. So this string is now pulling on the O-ring, which is evenly distributing the weight from the washer, which I like more. And then this line gets pulled through the inside of the puppet with a tapestry needle or something like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So that's how Oko will be held up, with a whole bunch of these, at least 2 at the waist on each side, and then 3 in the head. That's what we're going to start by doing, by holding them up. But we'll start with the head first, because that's the top part. And basically, I'm going to want to have the strings at a level where I'll be able to hold the marionette controller handle sort of comfortably sort of in front of me, so that my arm will sort of be almost at a right angle out. So it won't be much. The strings won't be very long. We'll only have about a foot or so, I think, of string. There'll only be about a foot or so of space, I think, between the puppet and the handle, but we'll see. All right, so here's the two marionettes now. This is the old one here, and this is the new one. And I have it mostly, I have the bases, I have the basics strung up. He's strung up at the body with 2 strings, and he's strung up at the head with 3. Now his eyes are going to look a little droopy for the next little while because they haven't been strung yet, and I'm just going to be leaving them for now. That'll be the last thing that I'll do. But what I want to do next is I've threaded the string that will operate the mouth. But now I need to loop that over and fasten it to this pedal, the switch pedal. So I'll be doing that next, making sure that that's the right tension. All the strings, by the way, I just tied them in a little knot and then wrapped the string around and then just taped the string down so that I can always undo the string and loosen it if I need to make any adjustments. That's how I'm doing it. All right, and then the other thing we need to do is the hands, and I already have one hand strung with a long strung attached, and this one is actually going to be, the 2 hands are going to be connected together. The string is going to go up through the widest 2 eyelets on the stick, and they're going to be connected by 1 string, so I'll be able to like pull one to operate both hands. We'll see. I got to experiment with it, but that's the plan. So let's just finish stringing this up and then just play around with it and see how it goes. All right, so here we go, guys. We're ready to go. This is our first test drive with the new performance marionette, Oko. All right, so I'll just quickly go through. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to move the camera down. Hold on. I wonder if I should do this in portrait mode. That might be a good idea. Hold on. Okay, that's better. All right, so here we go. So I'll just quickly go through the strings. So the hands now are connected with 1 string that just goes right through. So I can kind of like, I'll be able to like, as he's singing, pull the strings. The feet, I can kind of move, make some subtle steps by just slipping them into the pockets. But for a lot of times, for this Oko, I want to kind of I want to have him flowing around the stage, you know. But the most important thing is this handle. We have to make sure now, I encountered one little problem I think I'm going to have to edit. I noticed that I coated everything with a Mod Podge, including the little dowel that kind of goes between the sticks that the string goes over. And I think that is causing a little bit of friction with the fishing line. It does work, so you can talk. There you are. So there's Oko talking. But I'm worried about the friction here, so I think what I'm going to do is recut the dowel and just maybe stain it black and not paint it or Mod Podge it, just so that it's nice and smooth wood. But there you go, guys. So I have to experiment with this, and then the eyes here. I just attached a little string here that I could pull to make his eyelids move a little bit. Yeah. And that's it. And then, you know, otherwise, and there's also a really loose strings. There's also some loose strings attached to his shoulders that it makes it easier to make him bow by pulling those strings. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to experiment with that and practice a little bit. And then hopefully this version of Oko is going to be able to do some amazing performances. So I'll have to think of some appropriate songs to do with this. It's really good. This was a big check off my checklist of really important things I wanted to do for the show, for the Vancouver Pupps. So now we have a brand new Oko. This is the 3rd Oko that I can perform with live. I can perform now with the hand puppet, the dancing Oko, and then this one, the dancing marionette. So here we go. All right, guys, so strap in. So hopefully we see this guy sometime soon in the future, all right? So thank you for tuning into this workshop. I'm Brandon from the Vancouver Pupps, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.